April 22nd. And I would also like to remind us of our guiding principles and the actions we're about to take. Are we raising the bar in all of our actions? Are we honoring the past but not living in the past? Are we building positive connections with our community and outside partners? And is the decision-making process building a diverse, equitable, and inclusive community? Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, Council, we have a published agenda this evening. Are there any proposed modifications to this published agenda?
Yes, off of the consent, right?
If you're wanting to remove something from consent, that would be your prerogative to make a motion to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to take off the consent agenda for number D.
Okay, is there a motion? So motion to remove the equipment revolving fund purchases from the consent item and move it to business. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a second. Any discussion of that? All in
Mr. Mayor.
favor of moving consent item D
Mr. Mayor.
to business item?
Apologies, to clarify, so item D is the 660 zone reservoir.
Yes.
Item
sorry.
C is the
Okay.
vehicle
That's what it
purchase.
was.
So just to clarify which one you wanted
Six-
staff to
it
be
is- You're
prepared.
correct. I was reading one line off.
It's D.
D, adoption of resolution accepting the 660 reservoir.
It's the reservoir you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, D for the, over the
Perfect.
$8 million
And that is-
one. Yeah.
And that is moving it to business item D then.
Okay, so it is item D as in
D as in
dog.
dog, correct.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor of moving that item, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing that item has been moved. Any other proposed amendments? Councilmember Rose, maybe go ahead.
Mayor, I'd like to move to approve the agenda as amended.
Seconded.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rosapepe, a second by Councilmember Terneri to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the agenda has been set for this evening. We are to our first citizen comment period, and I have two people signed up. And is it Eric Anderson?
Yes, that's me.
Or Erica, I think.
Yes, hi.
Okay, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Erica Anderson.
Hey, Brandy, I don't know if you can hear me, but we can't hear you at all.
Who
I can hear
cannot
you
hear
just
me?
fine.
Okay, can you
Can
hear
you
me
hear us
now?
now, John?
There, we got you.
Okay,
All right. I'm
I
sorry
will
about that,
talk
John.
closer to the
Councilmember
mic.
Morrissey online.
Hi, John.
Hi.
So, my name is Erica Anderson. I see I'm supposed to say my address too. It's 3255 Southeast Baker Road, Port Orchard, Washington, 98367. I'm the president with the Port Orchard Farmers Market. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I'm here on behalf of the market and the downtown businesses and organizations to propose a simple but powerful improvement to expand SK Ride service to Saturdays. As many of you know, parking has become a growing challenge in downtown Port Orchard, especially on Saturdays when we see our highest levels of traffic for the farmers market, the library, people trying to dine out and visit our businesses down here. Many visitors will sit there and circle and circle and circle and never find a spot and just give up and leave. So we're proposing a solution to use SK Rides on Saturdays to connect people with the county government building at the top of the hill, which is for some people not accessible because they can't walk that hill down to the waterfront to drop off at the ferry terminal where people can access our downtown area. It's low cost, it's a high impact service, and it's using a resource that's already in place. The shuttle would ease the parking crunch on both the residents and visitors down on the waterfront, increase the access to small businesses, vendors, and services, support economic activity and event attendance, encourage a more walkable and livable downtown, and provide a practical transportation option for all ages and mobility levels. Simply put, it supports downtown growth without needing to build new parking structures or lots, which I don't think we're able to do at this point. So anyways, we believe that this small addition to the SK ride could be a big difference, and we welcome your support in proposing this to Kitsap Transit to make downtown a more accessible, vibrant, and connected place. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
So Erica, I'll follow up with you, but I have chatted with Transit about this, and unfortunately, there's federal laws that wouldn't allow for the SK ride to be used in that manner because it would be considered charter bus service. But there is routed bus service from downtown that goes right past the county campus that is readily available, but unfortunately, it's a great idea, but there's federal laws in place that would prevent us from being able to do that at Kitsap Transit.
Even if it's a charge service like they're already doing, it can't? Okay.
No, because it's considered charter.
We see it in other communities, so we're confused on that, but thank you and I would love a follow-up on it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, it'd be good for a follow-up for all of us too, to hear that.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, is the request for a shuttle service sort of agnostic as to who provides it? Is the proposal, or is the request for shuttle service?
I believe the request is, and James Weaver talked to me about a month ago, and I got back to him a few weeks ago on this, because he sits on the Downtown Merchants Association's board. And when I talked to Kitsap Transit about it, using it in that manner would be considered creating a charter service. And there's federal laws in place that prevent a transit agency from providing charter service. So.
And also, SK Ride does a lot of different things all over the South.
Yeah, and it can't operate in areas that we have routed bus
So
service.
it sounds like we want a shuttle. We don't care who provides it.
Yeah, that could be a solution, and Kitsap Transit as a transit agency can't provide that shuttle service, yeah.
Yeah, if we can have that, because it sounds like we got parking, lots of parking, so it sounds like, what a great idea.
Okay, on to our FC, Rob Sewell, you've signed up?
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I am the incoming president of Port Orchard Rotary, and I just wanted to come and say thank you for all your support that we've been getting on the Givens project. It's a very good project for an underserved area. We're excited to take the Givens to another level. We have Little League and other items at that, but now with the restoration of the sports courts, we already are getting invites from different pickleball groups that are very interested. Before I moved up here, I knew very little about pickleball, and I suppose it's becoming a hot new thing, mostly here in the Pacific Northwest where it was started. So we're very excited to do that and partner with you. I'm excited I think the construction is going to start soon, so we announced it to our Rotary Club today. I don't know if it's been announced to your Rotary Club, but it's a great project for us in the future. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Has been announced, and I shared that ribbon cutting or groundbreaking date, May 5th, I believe it is, at 11:30. So hope to see, we're going to put a press release out probably tomorrow for that. All right. Anyone else wishing to address the council? So the only two people that have got signed up. Please step to the microphone and identify yourself. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Dan Schubert. I live at 5757 Ray Road in Port Orchard. And my request it just came to my head today. I came in, I'm the bookkeeper at Hall & Sons Auto Repair at 512 Bay Street. And I came in with 13 parking tickets to pay. And my request today is that, well, there isn't any real public parking down there for the employees. And so my request is to have on the 500 block of Bay Street, have the 4-hour parking signs removed and maybe put up no overnight parking or something like that. But otherwise, they really can't focus on their trade. They have to be concerned about that parking ticket. And that's my request.
Well, thank you for your comment.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the city council this evening? All right, I'm going to close the first
Mayor,
citizen
we do
comment
have
period.
one member of the public online that wishes to speak.
All right. Is there someone online? If you wish to address the council online, please use the raise your hand feature and the clerk will bring you in.
Okay, I do have my hand raised.
Okay, and we hear you. So you have 3 minutes. Please identify yourself for the record, and you have 3
Sure.
minutes.
Yeah, my name is Bonnie Myers. I live on 1396 Southwest Bay Street here in Port Orchard. And I was really happy to see that there was a resolution for the cruise-in. I know there was a lot of concern about the intermingling of automobiles and pedestrians. But that's for a one-time event. My concern is it's nearly a daily event now that the weather is nice. The walking trail along the water, I don't know what the city actually calls it. It must have an official name. Is it the Water Trail, Kitsap Water Trail? It starts at the public boat launch and goes for about a mile along the water. So there's a lot more people out on that now, and everyone's trying to enjoy the nice weather, and I totally understand that. My concern is the speed of the recreational vehicles that are on that walking trail. I did a little bit of research. These are all electric recreational vehicles. Skateboards travel from 18 to 28 miles an hour. Electric bikes, 20 to 28 miles an hour. Unicycle, not too many of those, but he'll probably be back this year. They can go up to 30 to 45 miles an hour. And electric scooters, 15 to 25 miles an hour. These fast-moving recreational vehicles are weaving in and out of pedestrians as they're walking along the water trail. Not only pedestrians, dogs. And so I have a concern about that. One of my personal experiences was a young father on a electric skateboard while his toddler was maneuvering a remote control truck on the boardwalk. And because the father was too distracted on his skateboard, I actually tripped over the truck. Other concerns are dogs. I mean, there's oftentimes 2 huge dogs taking up the whole sidewalk. There's 4 little dogs taking up the whole sidewalk. So there's kids, strollers, dogs, and fast-moving electric recreational vehicles that don't feel as safe. I don't feel as safe walking along the waterfront as I used to. And so I just wanted to address that these fast-moving recreational vehicles, with thousands of people moving into Port Orchard, that there's sure to be more and more of them. And I don't know what the solution is, but I wanted to bring that to your attention tonight.
Okay, well, thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, those are considered motorized vehicles, aren't they? The electric bicycle and the scooter?
Some are, some are not.
Because I know there's a sign down there that says,
Council member, please wait to be recognized. So Chief, which ones are and aren't, and maybe we need, I think we have signage down there, maybe we need more signage and some education there, because I believe some of these.
Yeah, and we can certainly do that, and I can do that research for you.
Okay, so it sounds like some of these shouldn't be there, and I know we've got at least one or more signs down there that addresses that, but I think it's on a sign with all the different rules on there, so maybe we need to put some additional signage down there to help address that, because I've noticed that behavior too.
Could we?
Councilmember Ward
Oh.
first.
Yes, when you say somewhere, I mean, obviously there's motorized wheelchairs, there's real things out there that need and deserve to be on there. I don't want to make this out to be a long thing, but what are considered some?
I'm not the subject matter. Right? That's why I turned to the chief.
Do you know like which ones?
I can, that's not something I can pull right out of my brain,
worries,
but I
no
can
worries.
research it by the end of council.
Thank you, I was curious.
Councilmember Diener?
I think Heidi,
Actually, you raised your hand first.
okay. I was just wondering if this is something we should look at, transportation.
Well, after we get some more information.
Yeah,
But I think we
exactly.
definitely need more signage and,
Yeah.
and better definitions.
Yep, I'm curious as well.
Yeah. Councilmember Fenton?
Yeah, I've seen one signage, and it's on the newer walkway past like the restaurant and stuff. But it would be nice to have a few more early over by the ferry and the boats.
Comment?
I did, thank you, Mayor. It's going to be kind of interesting as we try to decide what area we want to go, because some trails, the Centennial trails and stuff, they allow bikes on, they put signs up for limiting the speed of the bikes. But in some cases, there are trails that don't, so we will have to kind of pick and choose what vehicles that we want. Some of the, I think the chief was alluding to this, some of the electric bikes are considered motorized vehicles, some are not, depending on what type, whether it's a type 1 or type 2. But I can honestly say, even though I'm a bicyclist, I have strong feelings about bikes not being on public paths for the reasons she was talking about. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Bikes in
More to
general?
come on this issue.
Yep.
Sorry, just a quick clarification. You meant bikes in general being on public paths?
Yes.
Okay.
We've got to be careful there because some of this is grant funded, which comes with requirements to have.
And that's
certain
why we need
things
more
there.
information,
A
Mayor.
lot-
Thank you
lot
very much.
More to come on this. So, all right, we're going to move on to our business item, or consent items first. There's Councilmember Rose Pepe, go ahead.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Rosa Pepe and a second by Councilmember Diener to approve the consent agenda as amended. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The consent agenda has been approved. We have a presentation tonight from Jolene Crone, the Executive Director for Salish Behavioral Health, and she's going to, we've got some opioid settlement funds that have come to the city, and we have a contract with her organization for services, and I think NOAA is working through a process to expand that contract. So we've asked her to come and give a presentation on what her organization does. So welcome. Trying to bring up her slide deck. Technology.
I can go ahead and present without the slides if that's easier.
Okay, so maybe we'll email that, because it's something we could email, the slide deck. The clerk could
Yes,
email
we can
up,
get that
follow
sent
up with that afterwards, so apologize.
Cooperating.
Our technology's just not on to share it with us tonight, okay? Bummer. Okay,
All right, well, good evening. My name is Jolene Crone. I'm the Executive Director of the Salish Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization. So I am here to talk about the opiate abatement, but as we have not been here in a couple of years, just wanted to make sure everyone knows who we are. So we are formed under an interlocal agreement with Clallam, Jefferson, and Kitsap counties, as well as the Jamestown Squamish tribe. There are 7 tribal nations in our region, and the Jamestown Squamish tribe has volunteered to be on our board. So our board is made up of a commissioner of each of those 3 counties and a tribal member from the Jamestown Squamish tribe. We are a behavioral health administrative services organization that is designated by the state of Washington regionally to provide services related to behavioral health, primarily behavioral health crisis services for both mental health and substance use disorder to all residents of all 3 of those counties, regardless of insurance. We provide a 24/7 crisis hotline and mobile crisis outreach and involuntary treatment and detention services subcontracted through a large network across all 3 counties. Our responsibility also includes underinsured, non-Medicaid funded behavioral health services, including outpatient treatment, withdrawal management, inpatient residential treatment for substance use. And we also administer several smaller programs under the non-Medicaid umbrella, including the REAL teams, if anyone is familiar, and some housing programs. So it's just a little summary of who we are and how we kind of ended up related to the opiate abatement work. So there have been several settlements related to opiate abatement in Washington, including now the distributor settlement, manufacturer settlement, and the pharmacy settlements. In addition to the participation of local governments, the Attorney General's office reached those agreements, and 50% goes to the state, and 50% of that funding goes to participating local governments, including cities and the counties. The state allocated those funds in jurisdictions. Our jurisdiction was called the Olympic region, and it covers Kitsap, Jefferson, and Clallam counties. Per the settlement agreement, the funding must be approved for opioid remediation uses, with the priority given to the core abatement strategies. I will also send out that email. I have an 11-page summary of what those opiate abatement strategies are. It is a very long and broad list of options. So because of the existing interlocal agreement between the 3 counties, we were reached out to serve as the Opiate Abatement Council, which was a requirement of the One Washington MOU or the state level MOU related to opiate abatement settlements. Those settlements are fairly complicated. They are distributed anywhere between 6 and 17 years at increasingly or decreasingly graduated amounts based on each participant of the settlement, including Walgreens, Kroger, Johnson & Johnson or Janssen. There's a variety of those folks. So we were here in 2023 with the Port Orchard City Council back then, and we entered into an agreement, an interlocal agreement with the City of Port Orchard for the distributor settlement funding. And that funding has not yet been allocated. And we are back to also discuss the addition or an amendment to add additionally now the manufacturer settlement and the pharmacy settlements for Port Orchard. The opioid abatement settlement does require local governments to manage direct payments and includes requirement to establish an opiate abatement council, developing a methodology for obtaining the proposals for use of those funds, ensuring the opportunities for community-based input, and provide reporting to the state. So in that, the determination was made by 3 of the 4 cities in Kitsap County to pool that funding with Kitsap County and us as the Opiate Abatement Council taking responsibility for all of that administrative burden. So currently for the City of Port Orchard, the distributor settlement was $43,351 for year 1 through 4 and year 7. So pooling that funding is beneficial to the community across the board. So currently we are now again looking at manufacturer and pharmacy settlements, which are in year 1 and 2. And then most recently, Purdue has settled, so we will be seeing some additional funding continue to flow through the opiate abatement work. So currently, Port Orchard funding is approximately $150,000 over the last 4-year period, including all of those fund sources. The opiate settlement funds for Kitsap County are being held. We also have interlocal agreements with City of Bremerton and the City of Bainbridge Island. So again, all three of those cities and the county are pooling that funding as we move forward. So some of the things that we have done so far is community-based meetings. We have done some current work around the opioid response community survey. The general trends we are currently seeing in recommendations for utilization of these funds is the expansion of treatment, access to treatment, and more expedient treatment for folks within the substance use arena specific to opioids. Also, transportation continues to come up as a challenge and need. Education, both for law enforcement and the community around risks and challenges related to that substance use, and then strengthening those cross-system collaborations. We are also in the process of calendaring some community meetings in the month of May. I believe the one we are targeting for South County here, I believe we are looking at May 29th, but we are looking at one in Central, one in North, and one in South County to gather community public information to be able to put together a plan to move forward with recommendations on use of this funding. So again, we are here to share that information and then ask the council to consider that extension of that amendment to that contract or that interlocal agreement as we move forward.
I appreciate you coming here tonight. Will there be a outline, showing how, like what dollars, how they were used in the south end of the county? I know you stated that a few things. I wrote them down, but how are like the attention that the south end of the county is going to receive? Is there going to be an outline of that, of things that are in place, or going to be in place, or accomplished?
So when we do put forth this plan, which our hope is to do so in June, it will delineate the expectations related to the funding. So current examples, so currently we have allocated some funding just for the Kitsap County Distributor Fund, so none of the cities have been part of that, and that specifically targeted community education and youth education. So there is a billboard right off of Mile Hill that was funded through prevention, through part of our funding. There have been some educational opportunities at schools for both middle school and high school related to this funding. So when we do put that forward, there will be a very clear plan. There is a consideration of a request for proposal where community entities would then request some of that funding, and that would require a delineation of plan as to what they want to use that funding for, and we do have to verify that it does meet the requirements of the One Washington MOU priorities.
I think Councilmember Warden was trying to, how do we ensure that I heard roughly in total, Port Orchard's going to contribute about $150,000 into this work, and are there going to be reports on a quarterly or annual basis that you're going to produce to show not just us, but Bremerton, Paulsbo, and everybody, here's the dollars that came in, and here's how we spent them, and broken down for sure by county, and maybe, and the ask I'm hearing here is we've got kind of three areas of our county, north, central, and south. Is that doable in your reporting?
Yes, I think the intent is to bring that information regarding the full county and then what is directly impacting each community. I think that's part of specifically the target of those community meetings, to look at what the priorities are and if they are different for North County versus South County, as we definitely have seen. Each part of the county has its own unique needs, and I think definitely our intent is to make sure that there is equitable access to whatever is whatever these funds are utilized for. So if it is an expansion of treatment, we would make sure that a portion of that is allocated to treatment within each community.
Yeah, because I understand you can do a lot more as a whole, but at the same time, I've seen too many times over the years of money going in and the south end of the county being neglected. And I just want to make sure that that's not happening. So.
Well, and I appreciate that as
Yeah,
a
but
resident of
not saying
South.
you- not saying
no,
yourself,
as a
I'm saying-
resident of South County myself.
Yeah, as a whole, you know.
Yes.
So,
I will say we do have a good reputation as an organization. We do serve 3 counties.
For sure.
And we do have a presence in all areas of our region. So there is definitely importance of equity just in the culture of our organization and making sure we're serving all of the communities that are under our purview.
And while South County may be important, I think we as a body are probably more concerned with Port Orchard centric and how these dollars that we're likely going to deploy with you are serving our community. So,
Yes.
and how this came about here is that Noah and I were in conversation about these settlement dollars, and we want to get these deployed. This is a logical partner. Noah was in conversation about amending this contract, and we thought it was important that we come and talk to you guys, you know, and remind you of what the services that are being provided. And this is just far more efficient than us attempting to try to negotiate contracts and administer contracts with individual providers here in our community. So, Councilmember Chang?
Yeah, I'm still a little slow on this. Oh, your organization doesn't actually offer any treatment itself, or do you?
That is correct. We are not
Okay.
a treatment provider. We are an administrative organization that oversees and subcontracts. Currently, we have 20 plus subcontractors across our 3-county region with approximately 50 contracts providing
do you know
services.
Who the South End providers are? Are they KMH or Kitsap Mental Health or
West Sound Treatment does
Okay.
have a place right down on Bay Street. They
Okay.
are one of our subcontractors. They are currently one of the few providing naloxone access down here in this end of the county. And Kitsap Mental Health is also one of our subcontractors for the mental health side. These are specifically SUD-focused, substance use disorder, opioid-focused funding, but can serve folks across that spectrum as long as they meet criteria. But there are a handful of providers.
Okay, so they provide the services
Yes.
and you sort of pay them.
And individuals in this community do go to Bremerton for services as well.
Okay.
So, yeah. Also, our REAL teams are familiar down in this area, doing work out in the community here
And I
as
talked about that at the work study last week. Councilmember Diener?
Billy, thanks for coming. I suspect many of us, if not most of us, have been touched by opioid use at some point in our lives. And you said the strategies was a long list, but could you share perhaps some of the popular strategies or some of your maybe top 3 abatement strategies?
So actually, when I mentioned the opioid response community survey, those are actually specific strategies that we pulled as part of that survey. And so the ones that have come to fruition actually across all 3 of our counties and all areas of our region are expanding treatment access to treatment and more expedient care, transportation, and then community education, both for law enforcement and lay community related to substance use and opioids, and then also strengthening cross-collaboration, and that is one of the things that is currently happening with the county-specific distributor funding, is to convene a table that has been meeting in Bremerton quarterly around opiate strategies that does include community partners, treatment providers, some local government. It is supported by public health.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so in the next month or so, I know it's got some work to do to get a contract crafted and reviewed by legal counsel, and then back to you guys. So that'll be coming back to you soon. So thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you.
All right, we don't have a public hearing this evening, but we do have 4 business items now. The first of which is item A, adoption of a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for the Gibbons Sports Court remodel project. Mr. Ryan, this is you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council members. Before you is a resolution for the Gibbons Park Sport Court remodel project. This project aims to improve public recreational facilities by resurfacing courts, upgrading site access, lighting, and related park fixtures. The city followed state law and procurement policies, initiating a formal bidding process with advertisements in local publications and online. 3 sealed bids were received by the deadline, and Beasley Enterprises LLC, identified as the lowest responsive bidder, and responsible bidder. The contract including selected alternates, which are electrical work, concrete curbs, and total fence replacement. It specifically says fence replacements here. I'm sorry, fence post replacements. We looked at 3 different alternatives if we could save money in case our bids came in much higher. And so this was this cost savings for the total project of $462,994.80. And if you recall, this was previously bid out through a Sourcewell contract, nearly double this rate. So happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Trenary?
Yeah, I'd move to adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Beasley Enterprises LLC for the Givens Park Sports Court remodel project.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Trenary, a second by Councilmember Diener. This has been a journey. Thank you, Rob, and you and the Rotary Club for traveling this journey with us. Nick got us a grant that we thought was going to, with a little bit of money and fundraising effort by the Rotary Club, that we thought we'd build the sports court. And they raised more than $50,000 for us. And then, as Dennis mentioned, we finally got the design done, the approvals from the state, and they were late last summer, going into fall. And it was more than $800,000, and that wasn't going to work. And so we paused on this and hoped for a better bid environment this spring, and fortunately it was. And so the numbers you see there are nearly half of what was proposed last fall, so which is great news. NOAA's going to need to add some additional funding to it, as you can see in the staff report there, but we're going to get there. We're planning on a groundbreaking ceremony on May 5th at 11:30, and the press release is going out on that. But this is an exciting project, and I'm glad to see it finally moving forward. So, Councilmember Warden?
Yeah, in land use, we saw the drawings. All the sidewalks, the rails look fantastic. Is that still in play? Is that the same?
Yep.
That's the exact same?
Yep.
Yeah, if you could maybe find that and email it, not saying right now, Nick, but like, and send it to all of us because it looks amazing.
I think it was in your packet. When I was scrolling through, I thought I saw the color.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have any questions on it because we already went over all of it.
It's
It looks
new
fantastic.
sidewalks, lighting, new
Yeah.
fencing.
The accessibility to the courts from everybody, it's.
Councilmember Rosewiffy.
Yes, Mayor, I just wanted to thank the Rotary clubs for being engaged with us. I think it's, again, public service. Additionally, this brings additional recreation to our historic part of Port Orchard. So we're focusing on both. When I look at Port Orchard Historic and Port Orchard West, and it's nice to see this project come to fruition. So thanks to everybody getting this done, and it's going to be nice to see the groundbreaking and people engaged with us. To answer your question about pickleball, we were talking, that you were exposed to this. It was founded on Bainbridge Island, and they now have a professional league, which is on ESPN, believe it or not. So, yep, it's getting there.
Councilmember Diener?
I also wanted to thank the Rotary Club for their involvement in this. It helped us get across the finish line. I just have a couple questions about first lights. Will they be shut off at 10 o'clock? Are the lights auto shut off at 10?
We will have some sort of regulator on there, timer, so that'll be, I'm not sure if it's part of this contract or if it's something that our electrician would do on site.
Pickleball is a really fun sport, but there have been, it's very loud. There's been lots of complaints about people living next to pickleball courts, so we need to be mindful of that. And then the next question was net management. Will it be left to the individual users to set up nets, take down nets, basically?
The multi-use courts, so it'll be just like Van Zee, where the tennis courts are permanent, nets are permanent, and then you've got to bring your own pickleball net to play on that court.
And there's a third sport I thought we were contemplating, football?
Futsal.
Futsal.
And that would be a Director Bond question about that sport.
Yeah, and that's the basketball court is being turned into a multi-purpose court for basketball and the futsal.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And that was the young man that wrote the grant, he wrote the letter of support that helped our grant application. He was at the Rotary event, matter of fact, that young man, so.
Excellent.
And he wanted to come tonight to speak in favor of the project, but he actually has an away soccer game in Tacoma and couldn't be here. So
Oh,
he says
that
he's
would've
very
been fun.
excited.
Councilmember Chang?
Can we see page 344 on the packet? Maybe, I'm wondering if that was what Councilmember Warden was thinking of. Was it one of these? I mean, these are very interesting. Or 345 or?
Color.
Okay, well, there's a visual if anyone was
Did you have a
wondering what
comment?
we're talking about.
Councilmember Trenary, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, for the community's interest, and mine too, actually, because I'm a pickleball player. What's the start date and projected completion date of the project?
So we have not had the pre-construction meeting yet, so we don't have a schedule. I'm anticipating this type of servicing needs to be in warm weather where overnight temperatures are about 70 degrees. So you're looking probably July or August to have the actual surfacing done.
And will the playground equipment still be accessible for younger kids during this project?
The playground should not be impacted. There might be some brief detours when they do the walkway along the playground, but the playground will remain open, and we'll make sure that's a requirement for the pre-construction meeting.
Great, thank you.
Any last comments or questions? You'll be voting to approve or authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for the Givens Sports Court remodel project. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the contract has been approved. So we're to item B now, adoption of a resolution updating the city's fee resolution. Mr. Bond, I think this is you.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is an update to the city's fee resolution, and the city sets its fees for public works, planning and building by resolution, and we periodically update this. The last time it was done was December of 2023. Since then, we've seen CPI adjustments, both for consultants and staff. We've had there's a new countywide program for pre-approved ADUs, which we're building into the resolution. And then the ICC building valuation table has been updated. And so we presented the draft fee resolution to the Finance Committee at their meeting last week, and the Finance Committee recommended that it be brought to Council for consideration. The significant changes in the fee resolution include adoption of the new building valuation table for February of 2025, and just a little explanation of how building permit fees are calculated. We have in the fee resolution, there is a table that you plug the building value into to determine the permit fee, and so as construction costs change, the permit costs go up, and so this table reflects the most recent cost to construct per square foot depending on the building type. The resolution also removes text regarding when the payment of fees is due. We actually amended our code for permit processing a couple of months ago as part of a new state mandate, and so that's now actually in our code and doesn't need to be in the fee resolution. We also, I mentioned the pre-approved ADU program. We have basic plan sets that we approve where somebody can actually reuse the same plan set multiple times, and so the fee structure for that is different than our normal fee structure. And we created a specific provision for those pre-approved ADUs to make it even easier and more cost-effective to build. We are adjusting our manufactured home permits because the amount of inspection work and the number of inspections and the amount of plan review for those manufactured homes is significantly more than it used to be. And so usually we're doing 5 inspections, so 5 trips out to the site. And if you pass the first, or if you fail the first inspection, we'll come out for free a second time. So you're talking up to 10 inspections, and we wanted to make sure the fee actually covered the cost of that review and inspection. We also have to, per state law, do adult family home inspections when somebody applies for one of those permits. And so we're the local jurisdiction who goes out to verify that the adult family home complies with state law. We don't currently have a fee for that, but it is a couple hours worth of work, and so we wanted to make sure we were capturing costs. We also added, we adjusted the hourly rates specifically for our public works plan reviewers. Those are the engineers who do plan review. Their wages are higher than the other staff doing review, and we wanted to make sure that when we're charging hourly fees, that they reflect the cost of salary and benefits. We've added inspection fees for building and fire outside of normal business hours, and there are occasions when there might be a special event and we have to go do an inspection on a Saturday. And so when those things happen, we will have a fee for those outside of normal business hour inspections. We clarify timelines for work to proceed by outside consultants for special reports, and also the timing of when an applicant pays for the review of those special reports, where we don't want to spend money with consultants until we've actually received the money from the applicant. We did some clarifications to our refund policy, and then we are also adding something new. We have a lot of performance bonds, and some of those bonds are required by code. We're not proposing to charge for required performance bonds, but when somebody proposes a bond because they haven't built all of their improvements, they do a bond in lieu of construction, there's significant administrative costs for us to track and monitor those, and so we're creating a flat fee to cover our staff time of actually tracking, doing subsequent follow-up inspections, writing communications about when, we remind people when certain things are required. If they haven't called for an inspection, we have to track them down and say, hey, you promised to do this work. And so that's to cover those types of issues. So the staff recommendation tonight is to approve the updated fee resolution as presented. And I will note that we did provide both a clean and red line copy of that. So the red line version shows the changes in red line. So there's not a ton of changes, even though it's a lengthy document. Most of the fees and fee policies are remaining the same.
Pepe, go ahead.
Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution establishing fee schedules for the Departments of Community Development and Public Works as presented.
By Councilmember Rosepepe, a second by Councilmember Warden. I think this also traveled through one or more committees also. I then it visited finance and it also visited, I think, land use.
Yes.
So, Councilmember Warden, do you have a question?
Yeah, Mr. Bond, I don't want to get as these guys always say, in the weeds and too deep on things, but I'm really curious. It was brought to my attention because I've never gone through all the permits and seen all the fees for different things like washer and dryer, dishwasher, all those things. Do we actually do a site visit and inspect that was installed properly?
No, when the washer and dryer permit is for the actual vent installation, not the connection of the washer dryer.
Like a dishwasher?
I believe that actually is connecting to plumbing, and so when you're installing a dishwasher, you are supposed to get a permit. I don't think that most people probably do, but it is, per the building code, something that is required.
I mean, it'd be super time consuming to go through that and eliminate ones that aren't really necessary. I was just really curious because when I saw that, I thought, well, permit is to make sure that's done properly. That's what inspection is for, but no one's going out there to inspect that.
Well, if somebody gets a permit to do the work, we will go inspect it. So that's part of the permitting process. So if somebody contacts us and says we want a permit to install a dishwasher, we would go do the inspection.
Shouldn't that be like $75 versus $10? Because I mean, just the man hours of having to go out there and do that. I'll just throw 'em back
possibly.
there.
I mean, it's probably a 5-minute a 5-minute stop.
No, not $75. Come on.
It was different. I saw that kind of like,
Jeez.
all right, I'm good. Thank you.
Councilmember Rosepepe, go ahead.
Just quick, Nick, so just for understanding, when do these take effect? And the second part of the question is, so people that have permits in now, but we haven't done the inspections yet, they wouldn't be charged additional fees, or it doesn't matter when it takes effect?
So you don't, only if you called in for like a special inspection would you be charged for an inspection, but most of the inspections are part of your permit issuance. So if your permit already issued, your inspections are paid for. Unless you fail 2 inspections, then you have to pay for the 3rd one. So if that fee was adjusted, which I don't think it was, you would have to pay for the 3rd inspection at a new rate. But for the most part, this only applies to permits that haven't yet issued.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
And the effective date, have the page in front of me, but I believe it's the first Monday in May, which allows our permit center time. They have to go through the permit system and plug in all of the new amounts, and they'll do that on the Friday before they take effect, so that on Monday everything is ready to go.
Thank you.
Councilmember Warden, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure that now you just made the comment. That's probably meant for like a new build. The dishwasher. Like
I think
as you're going around the property, the site, that's probably designed for a new build.
Or a remodel.
There's fixture. We add up the fixtures, and it's a per fixture fee.
I'm following you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good. Sorry.
Councilmember Fenton, do you have a question?
Yeah, Nick, I'm glad that it's not a big jump in the fees, and it's just a little one, comparable.
Other comments or questions? Councilmember, go ahead. Morrissey, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I talked about this in Finance Committee as well, and I had similar questions to Councilmember Warden around some of the fees that we have. I know when it came to out of Finance Committee, we were just verifying that the fees looked adequate and they weren't jumping wholesalely large amounts. I would like to maybe put this on a work plan someday. I believe it was 27 pages. And I think there's got to be a better way for us to simplify that. But I'll be supporting it today.
Yeah, I like that.
So you'll be voting on the adoption of a resolution updating the city's fee resolution. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The resolution passes. We're at item C, approval of the April 8th City Council business meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Go ahead.
I motion to approve the April 8th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Fenton, a second by Councilmember Cherneri. And I believe there'll be one abstention. So,
Will I be able, do I vote as Mayor Pro Tem?
yes, you do.
Because you're a council member, always.
You're also, you're wearing two hats.
Okay.
All right. You'll be voting on the April 8th City Council meeting minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? And one abstention by Councilmember Warden. We're business item D now, which was previously consent item D, which is the adoption of a resolution accepting the 660 reservoir and booster pump station and establishing a total certified construction cost for the project in the amount of $8,421,718.35. Mr. Ryan, this is you.
Good evening again. So once again, this is for the acceptance of the new 660 reservoir and the booster station, which were developed by the McCormick communities as part of a developer agreement. On March 22nd, 2022, the City of McCormick Communities, LLC, entered into a credit agreement requiring McCormick to finance and construct 5 capital improvement projects, including the 660 zone reservoir and the 580 to 660 zone booster station. Construction both the 660 reservoir and the 580 to 660 zone booster station has been completed with certified cost documentation and a bill of sale submitted to transfer ownership to the City of Port Orchard. McCormick is eligible through the agreement for capital facility charge credits for the equivalent residential units or ERUs developed within its property. Total certified construction costs are $6,172,094.68 for the 660 zone reservoir. Only $2,249,623.67 for the 580 to 660 zone booster station, combining for $8,421,718.35. For the maximum allowable credits for the 660 zone reservoir, only maximum allowable credit was reached at $2,850,000, so no additional credits will be given for that. For the 580 to 660 booster station, the maximum allowable credits is $750,000, and that will be the maximum amount provided in credits to that one. Any questions?
Councilmember Warden.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt resolution accepting the 660 zone, reservoir, and booster station and establishing a total certified construction cost for the project in the amount of $8,421,718.35.
Second.
By Councilmember Warden, a second by Councilmember Rosa Pepe. Questions?
Yeah, just, it just, you know, a little over 8 million, and it's on the reservoir. Will you just break down a little bit more of for me, and then people who hear this too, like on the recorded video, we got credit, and then you got the McCormick. How much do we actually pay on this? So
Nothing.
we're not paying nothing?
So we've got $8 million, is it 8.5? $8.4 million in asset that they built for us.
Mm-hmm.
We negotiated an agreement for credits at $2.8 million for the reservoir and $750,000 for the booster pump, for a total of $3.6 million. So they will get credits in the form of connection charges to the homes that are built out there for a total of $3.6 million. The city benefits the difference of that, nearly $5 million.
Right. Okay. When I was reading this, it was I didn't really quite get the hookup and McCormick and, you know, the $8 million. And I think sometimes other people don't really understand that. So I wanted to break down.
There's a lot of information in the developer agreements. There's a lot of infrastructure, and I'm looking forward to taking you out to tour the site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So it cost them $8.4 million to build
Provide
this.
water to their homes.
Yeah. And yes, Councilmember Rose Pepe.
No, I just wanted to, since we're doing a little bit of education, this is one of the things that the mayor has been very strong about, and staff, about these development agreements that have been truly beneficial to the city, both financially and from a time frame perspective of being able to get these projects completed earlier than if the city undertook them. So it's a win-win both for the developers and for the city and the citizens of this. So I commend staff and the mayor on using this methodology to keep moving our infrastructure forward, which is, everybody knows is our #1 priority along with public safety. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for your comment there. We have things in our capital plan that we intend to get to, but those timelines don't always mesh with the timelines of the developer. So if the developer wants to build our infrastructure for us, that the development agreement is the tool that allows us to negotiate with them to build that infrastructure that benefits their development. There's no doubt about that. But the city also receives tremendous benefit from this, and then they can build this much faster than we can.
And it's not optional. We have to approve it.
Well, if you don't, you don't have to accept it.
Right here. I mean, on that alternatives.
I don't know why we wouldn't want to accept it.
No. I'm
They
just
built
saying,
it.
literally, we're contractually obligated.
One more
to
comment,
accept
Mayor.
it.
Yes. This also goes back to when the council voted on a moratorium in that area because we didn't have enough water flow for firefighting. So this is another, again, not good deal. It's good for our citizens, it's good for business, and it's good for this city. So that's my last one. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Any last comments before we vote? All right. You'll be voting to adopt a resolution accepting the 660 Reservoir and Booster Pump Station. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Let's jump in. We have no discussion items. Let's jump into our committee reports. A few of them have met. Did Economic Development and Tourism, they did not meet, okay? Utilities, I don't think you met, but you've got a tour planned here soon.
Yes.
Okay, and that is on May 13th.
That's correct.
Finance, I know, met. Councilmember Trenary, do you have anything? I know we talked about the fee resolution. We talked about the financials, which looked good.
We talked about Givens Park and the fund rearranging to make that happen.
Yeah.
We talked about City Hall project and some leftover funds from this project. helping with our pavement out front. We also chatted about, obviously, sales tax and REIT revenues. And sales tax is a bit down this year over last year, but REIT revenues continue to be strong and are on an upward projection. And we reviewed the treasurer's report and everything looked good there, and that's about the extent of the finance committee discussion.
Yeah, and I would say the sales tax was down year over year slightly, but because we budget very conservatively, we were slightly over budget. Just we're flat, slightly down year over year.
Nice, good work.
All right, and transportation, is that it for finance? Okay.
Yes.
All right, and transportation, I know you guys didn't meet. How about land use?
Yes, we met, Mayor. A couple of things that are going on is discussion. We had a discussion about comprehensive plan amendments that are coming up, be brought forward to council. We had a discussion regarding the upcoming middle housing model ordinance, and I will ask Nick to kind of elaborate on that when it gets to him for just a brief clarity. But a lot of what is going to be coming down into DCD is we're still waiting for the legislature to finish their business to see what the impacts will be on us. And I think Scott had some comments too.
Well, we also talked about some of the concerns and comments we'd heard about development in Port Orchard. And as you would expect, there's always another side to the story. And so we reviewed some of the other side of that story, which was really came down to communication, as it normally does or often does. And it was communication that occurred between, or didn't occur as the case really is, between contractor and the lumber supplier who puts a package together, which caused structural changes in what was proposed to be built. So there was just some rework that needed to happen because of that. And so that was largely, I think, the tenor of the concerns I heard or were expressed to us. And Nick, feel free to elaborate if there was more to that. But again, it's nice to hear the full story because we'd gotten complaints from one of the national builders in our area.
And it wasn't what was proposed, it was what the plan set that was approved.
Right. So the lumber package resulted in a different product than what was approved. And they wanted to march forward with that and couldn't. So
I'd like to add, it's kind of land use, a little bit of utilities, but we did the Sherman Heights, Sherman Stormwater Future Park. That was, Mr. Bond wanted to take us on a hike, and he did. Tested out my hips, and okay. But anyways, that's going to be really, really nice for that community down there. It's a really good piece of land. Glad you bought it a long time ago because it'd be really expensive today, for development. But it's a great, I don't know if we got to the creek or not.
I found the creek. That was my mission. And it was a journey. Not all of us made it down to the creek.
We were standing up top, and Mayor Rob just put his dog away and hopped down there, and so, no, it was a good time. Maintenance, I don't want to say maintenance, but the staff spent a lot of time and cleared out a really nice path for us to walk and see everything, and no, it was good stuff, and I'm looking forward for that part of Port Orchard to receive, something real nice for them as well, so, yeah.
Lots of hawthorn and blackbirds.
Thank you for, Dennis, thank you for your staff and everything, doing all the work to make it safe to walk through there.
Yeah, somewhat. There's a lot of hawthorn and hawthorn and blackberries out there. Yeah. They're abundant.
Didn't bother Nick, though. He just went for it.
Okay. Lodging tax. Do you have anything to share, Mr. Morrissey?
You're going to get a full report coming up next month in one of our meetings to approve the funding from the committee. We did review the one application we got for FIFA funding, which is why we remanded it back to the committee. They have allocated funding towards that FIFA. There was some discussion around the use of another set of funds that was previously done. Because we're unsure on whether or not we're going to get our historic ship back into port, but we're going to get more information on that before it reaches you all. But that was the long and short of it.
Thank you for your report. Sewer advisory, anything to report?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, I don't think I have anything for outside agencies. I've got a little something in my mayor's report. Coffee with council, anything to report from your last? I didn't see anything from you
I
guys.
don't know if
written.
I've gotten reports for a full report or some of
But
the.
I'll add that I did sign up for May, and if someone else wants to join, I think Fred might. You on? Perfect. So, all right.
So I'll commit to getting my small report in, and Heidi, if you get it
I'll get-
to Scott, we'll
Yes.
get those in, so.
Okay.
All right. Mayor's report. I've got a few things. We're planning for the City Hall ribbon cutting, whether they're going to pour concrete, last of the concrete tomorrow, then that allows them to do the blacktop work. There's some painting and some other activities that need to be cleaned up. So we're targeting May 25th, which happens to be the same weekend as the Mosquito Fleet Festival. And it'll likely be in the afternoon. I have to work out the logistics. We're like a 3:30 stop on this walk that starts at 2 o'clock, and I got to make sure, hopefully, that we're the last stop, because I don't want this group to show up. We cut a ribbon, and we're wanting to maybe open the building up and let people go in the building, but yet this tour is taking off to a different destination. So I've got to work out the logistics of what that looks like. And so my goal is to incorporate it into the walking tour, the historic walking tour. But I got to make sure that we're the last stop on that tour, and I don't have the answer to that yet. We talked about the Gibbons groundbreaking already. Friday, I had a great experience. Wish I could have stayed longer than the couple hours I was out there, but Riverstone is the Housing Kitsap self-help homes that are being constructed. The first 10 homes are nearing completion, and they'll have the key ceremony hopefully middle of next month. So there was a work party with about 30 people on Friday, and I went out, I manned a garden hose and washed garage doors ahead of them being painted. So anyway, a really cool program, low-income families that work together for about 14 months building their homes with some professional help. I got to interact and talk to a couple of these young ladies that are going to get keys to their new home, and they were just sharing their story and how without this program, they wouldn't have their own home. And so I think it's just a fabulous program, and I think it's one of the best things that Housing Kitsap does. And it's really cool that it's in our community, and those first 10 homes are going to be occupied next month. I watched the Port of Bremerton's agendas, and I noticed at today's agenda that they were increasing their cost to the parking during special events. So that really only affects on the farmers market day, that parking in front of Peninsula Beverage, the 2 rows, they're going to increase the cost of that parking from $5 to $10 a day. Or any other special event. But what came to mind for me was the farmers market, but they're in most of the paid parking lot, but there's that 1 row of, so if you're a marina tenant, you have a free pass, you wouldn't pay that. And I think it's more of an effort by the port to make sure that their tenants have some parking available to them when we're having special events. If people are using it, they're going to pay more for it. So, but I just noticed that on their agenda. The county campus, we had a meeting scheduled for yesterday morning. It got canceled, but Commissioner Root and I met today, and I'll share more with you guys later on those negotiations. So I'm glad that he and I finally had a chance to meet. I shared my Pat St. John's, that email, and I just want to share it was in my mayor's report already before I sent that email that Chief and I have both been in contact with the port. We're anxiously waiting for the port to provide us the signs so that our police department can enforce no loitering down there. So hopefully that'll change some of that behavior. And I know some of your committees haven't been meeting lately, but there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes with the water system plan, the transportation impact fee study, and those bodies of work are going to be coming to you guys in your committees and to work studies in the very near future. So that concludes my report. Let's go around the table here. Mr. Ryan, what do you have for a staff report?
Just a couple quick notes. So compliments to staff and our human resource, Debbie and Beth. I think I heard today that we were down to just one seasonal job that needed to be recruited for, and then staff has also been busy doing practical skills tests for our new hires, which is helping us improve our candidate pool. So compliments to both HR and our operational staff. And the other thing is I received an update today on Marina Pump Station commissioning schedule. So bringing the plant online in June, and it looks like final commissioning will take place in August. So project is tracking. It's exciting to see those benchmarks getting hit. So thank you.
Crocker?
I'll just make one announcement. So we have our IT specialist starting tomorrow. So we've been down in IT personnel position since the start of January, so 4 months. So my IT manager is very excited to get our new employee on board and working tomorrow. So we're very excited to have our new employee come in.
Mr. Bond?
Yeah, so I wanted to follow up on the City Council's discussion last week at their strategic planning session. The mayor had asked my department, what things we could do to improve communication and seek outside support for looking at our processes in the department. And so Finance Director Crocker had reached out to the auditor. They have a free program for a lean process improvement exercise. And so they're going to be coming in June to look at our processes in DCD and give us recommendations for how we can make things work more smoothly. I also wanted to share that, we don't control what the building codes require, but we do control how we communicate that information. And so we've been looking at our communications and looking for opportunities to more clearly communicate to the public. And I wanted to share a couple of the things that we are implementing this week. The first of those has to do with, actually the first couple of these have to do with our comment matrix transmittals. And so when a permittee comes to our department and wants to get approval for something, they submit plans, and we typically respond to those plans by both marking the plans up, but also by creating a matrix where each reviewer can enter comments on their portion of the review, and then the applicant is supposed to respond to that matrix. And so one of the things that we really want to emphasize is just the quality and clarity and also ensuring kind of plain speak in those comment review matrices, so that the people who are reading the matrix, usually they're design professionals and they should know what this means. Sometimes they are lay people and aren't experts on construction. And so we are both asking our staff to do a better job of ensuring clarity in the comment matrix to make sure that what they've written is clear. But then the project lead is also going to be tasked with reviewing the other people's work to make sure that the entire document is clean and easy to read. And if something isn't right, it's going to be sent back to the person who made the comment for corrections before it goes out. Another thing that we've realized is that we can improve our communication when we actually send the matrix out to the public. There is information in the top of the matrix document which is attached to an email, but the email itself doesn't provide a whole lot of information, and so we're going to front load that information in the email. We want to explain the purpose of the comment matrix, the steps that the applicant needs to take to perform in response to our comments, and then outline how they can go about asking questions of the city. And so we're creating templates, and we're going to work with the city's consultant, communications consultant, to review the content and make sure that it's clear and easy to understand. Finally, it hasn't been our practice. We've always wanted to have a single point of contact for communications, because otherwise you end up talking to the owner separately from the project manager, and you end up with having these parallel conversations. But we do think it is important that the owner, when they have provided an email address, that they're copied on the transmittal so that they at least know that their applicant has received the communication. We still don't want to directly engage with the owner, because the project manager is the one who needs to make the corrections, and we don't want there to be two channels of parallel communication. But in any event, at least this way, the owner will know that it's not the city holding things up, it's actually the architect or the project manager who's received the comments, and they have to do something with them. And then finally, this is a separate issue that was brought to my attention today, but the building officials in Kitsap County, they all meet once a month to talk about emerging issues. And so in the most recent meeting, which was more than a week ago, they were discussing the need to have education opportunities for our local designers to stay up to speed on ICC code requirements, but also to kind of outline what we expect. And what all of the jurisdictions are seeing is that designers are most often designing things based on what their client wants, and then they submit it to the city to try to figure out what the code requirements are, rather than proactively anticipating the code requirements. At least some designers do this. And so very often they're just trying to see which code requirements are going to get triggered by the project, and then we respond to them, and it adds an extra step and delays in the process. And so we want to make sure that we're communicating this to the KBA, and that we provide some opportunities with the International Code Council to do some education in Kitsap County, because I think some professionals, I don't believe engineers have to do any building code continuing education. I think architects have 1 credit hour per reporting period, which is either a 1-year reporting period or 2-year reporting period, but they're not spending a whole lot of time with the building code. And so we want to encourage the professionals in our area to stay up to speed and to really understand our expectations. So we're going to continue looking for other opportunities to improve our communication, but we've identified at least 4 things immediately that we can get started on, and I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to follow up with an email that outlines that information for your review.
Thank you.
Nick,
Mayor.
go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
You go ahead, Scott. I got a comment afterwards.
Okay. So I think with respect to people submitting applications to see what will stick under 5290, it's going to be even more critical for them not to do that, because they'll lose one of their rounds of review and they're only given 3 before we must affirm or deny. So that'll be an important messaging. What was the other thing? Oh, you talked about during your review and QC on that and making sure everything's captured. And I think you mentioned this, but I wanted to be clear that we're also providing the code site that says this is why you must do what you got to do. So that takes a lot of wind out of the sails when people want to argue.
Councilmember Rosebaby?
Yeah, Nick, I wanted to say, first of all, to the council, I think it was important in our discussion last week talking about DCD and improved communication. And I appreciate you and your staff, Nick, taking that on board. Not that it was punitive, but it was how can we work a little bit better with the public, and I appreciate that with the steps you're taking. Obviously, some people will get it and some people won't, but at least we're moving in that direction. And I also wanted to say thanks for giving us, as a famous commentator used to say, the rest of the story in some cases when we get complaints, that so we have the full picture. So thank you, Nick.
Yep, you're welcome.
Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, Nick, seriously, thanks a lot for actually listening to our conversation and acting on it, and man, how fast you put something in place and recognize it, and I greatly appreciate it. Being a person who is a code enforcer, and I wear it on both sides every day. Not everyone's happy. You're not going to make everybody happy. You're not going to change codes to make people happy, but do recognize that outreach and communication, and I know I work on myself to get better. A lot of it's tone, but I do appreciate how fast you jumped on that. Thank you very much.
I know that a majority of the conversation last Tuesday was in this realm, so we very much took that to heart, and I thank Nick and his team and Noah too. Noah said, I know of this program that the state auditor's office, and it doesn't cost us anything, so let's start there. And I like free, so. So,
I just got one last question. In terms of the Kaizen event and looking for people to do that, are there people you're able to find that are specialized in SmartGov? Or are these just more?
I'm not quite sure what to expect yet. I think Noah has reached out to them, and we're still trying to schedule, but I'm not exactly sure what aspects of our process they're going to look at. But it's free, and we'll see what they come back with. And if we need to hire a consultant later, we certainly can consider that, but let's see what we can get for free first.
Yeah, I don't think we'll need to hire a consultant later. The State Auditor's Office runs a program called the Center for Business Innovation, and I just emailed the council a link to the lien services we're seeking. And essentially what they're going to come and do is they're going to survey the three of us, and I point to the three of us. You guys are folks on Nick, but we're also part of the team here. We work together collaboratively between DCD, Public Works to the finance to the end. So they're going to look at our processes and identify, we will look at the processes and identify where we think could be some improvements. And we're going to do some mapping exercises, really break down the processes, break down where we see there's a disconnect as a group, and kind of problem solve at the bottom level with our staff and kind of move that all the way up the chain. So the Kaizen event, as you spoke to, so you're familiar with lien management, should take place in June, but it's all about scheduling and timing. So again, working with the SAO and my colleagues here to make the event happen.
Great. Those are great events.
All right, Ms. Archer.
Thank you. Just wanted to flag for you a decision that came out yesterday. It's known as Arthur West versus the Walla Walla City Council. And this case is, this decision is a very useful one to reiterate the importance of us utilizing executive sessions for the limited purposes that they are authorized by statute and avoiding taking any final action in executive session. Very briefly in this case, the council went into executive session to discuss the qualifications of an applicant for the role of city manager. And then they came out of the executive session and the mayor said, the council has voted on this person. Clearly that is a violation of the executive session privilege. We do not vote in executive session, we all know that. But unfortunately in this circumstance, they did so and they chose to announce it. So the court has given us guidance on two aspects. One, part of this was it was a special meeting and their agenda didn't even say that they were going to take a vote. And so we can't do anything, as you all know, in a special meeting that isn't specifically noticed on the agenda. And so in that case, the court, or as to that aspect, the court reiterated special agendas have to say expressly what you're going to do, and anything beyond that is a violation of the OPMA. And then second, it reiterated for the executive session statute that applies to reviewing qualifications for a potential employee, all you can do in that executive session is review those qualifications. You can't narrow it down, you can't whittle it down, you have to only discuss qualifications, and then any vote has to be taken in the open session. And that is very specific to that particular subsection of the executive session statute. So further useful guidance, yeah.
Was the appellant the actual candidate?
No, that was Arthur West. I'm not sure if that name rings a bell. He's a frequent flyer in the OPMA PRA litigation world. So he's doing the work of the people too.
So can now.
Yeah, yeah, all over the state. So.
Statewide pest.
Yeah, or advocate, yeah. So I'll circulate the case. It's a good read, and it's a good reminder, so.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Chief, what's a motor vehicle?
Well, a quick glance. So a motorized vehicle is an internal combustion engine, so that's not really specific to what the caller was discussing. To the class 1, 2, and 3, the class 1 and 2 electric bicycles, those only get up to about 20 miles an hour. There's no age limit. You don't have to wear a helmet. The type 3, which is up to 28 miles an hour, those are not allowed on mixed-use paths. The council can certainly make their own determination if they want to ban type 1 and type 2, but that would be up to the policymakers. And then thank you for bringing up the waterfront. We are working with the Port of Bremerton to get signage down there so that they can be participants in our trespass program. That's all I got.
All right. Ms. Wallace.
Yes, so we have a full team for the Coffee with the Council this coming Saturday. Next month in June, we have one council member. Yeah. Oh, wait.
It's not this Saturday, it's the next Saturday.
Yeah, next Saturday,
there's another
probably.
one.
Because this is the 25th.
Yes. There,
This week's 26th.
May 3rd, I don't even know what month I'm in, I guess, apparently.
You're a week ahead.
So on May 3rd, we are full, and June 7th, we have one council member, which is Diener. So if we want two more for that one, and then we don't have anybody else signed up for the rest of the year.
Put me on the 7th.
Okay, so just a reminder, send us an email and we'll get you on the list.
And I think I've gotten to everybody, and our dinner tomorrow evening has been canceled, and we put a notice out that it was been canceled, so.
Will it be rescheduled, or is it?
Probably not, because there's only a week left in the session, and they aren't going to travel down to Olympia to have dinner with us. So we'll just have to do a better job next year trying to schedule. It got canceled initially because of the storm, and then our House representatives can't leave the campus until like 9 o'clock at night right now because of the deliberations. So just wasn't going to be a good use of everybody's time to travel down there and only be able to meet with our senator. So we'll make it happen next year. And with that, we are to our second citizen comment period. And if anybody online wants to address the council, use the raise your hand feature and we'll bring you into the meeting. Or anybody in the audience, you can step forward to the microphone and address the council. So I see one hand raised online, I think.
Okay. I'm Bonnie Myers. I'm back, and I brought up the issues on the walking path. And thank you for the person that clarified, about a bike. But again, there's these other electric recreational toys, whatever you want to call them, scooters, skateboards, whatever. If you look them up and like if you wanted to order one, it'll say, it goes 15 to 25 miles an hour, 18 to 28 miles an hour. Anyway, and that's faster than the speed limit through town for a car. So again, there's definitely a safety issue there. But on the topic of speed, so I made a right-hand turn a few days ago. I think it's off of Tremont to go down Port Orchard Boulevard, down the hill. We all know that it's a windy street. And going down the hill, it's one lane only. The other side is 2 lanes. Well, I made my right-hand turn. Before I knew it, there was a car behind me. I didn't know it was a Tesla until it passed me, I would say at least 60 miles an hour on a turn where there is no passing. It really startled me, kind of shook me up a bit. And then going up Port Orchard Boulevard for that same day, doing other things, I noticed all through Port Orchard Boulevard there are dark tire tracks all over the road where, I guess they call them donuts, spin outs, whatever you call them. Even at the light, there were circles, dark tire circles. So, as more and more people move into Port Orchard, I've noticed that the speed of vehicles, the speed limit signs have not changed at all. The speed of vehicles has changed a lot. Everybody wants to go faster. Impatient drivers passing on double yellow lines. Anyway, maybe in the future, traffic cam is needed there on Port Orchard Boulevard. And for any of us who have lived here in Port Orchard for any length of time, we know that the slower pace of life is gone. It is over, except when it's time, what do you call it? Go home time, after work time, around 5 o'clock. Where I live, it would take 2 to 3 minutes to travel 2 miles into town. Depending on the time of day now, it can take anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes with the traffic moving slowly at 10 miles an hour. So lots of changes here in Port Orchard, and the issue with Port Orchard Boulevard, if there's going to be lots of road construction in the Gorst area, Port Orchard Boulevard's probably going to be used a whole lot more. Anyway, just wanted to bring those issues up to you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Anyone else wishing to address the city council this evening? All right. Anything for the good of the order? We do have an executive session, so don't disappear on us. So, Councilor Chang.
I just had a couple quick items. One is that there's an interesting article in the New York Times that I'll send to Brandy to send to council. It's talking about how some communities are trying to save the movie theaters that have closed. I don't know if this would go to a committee because I wouldn't know if it's EDT, finance, or land use, but I'll send it to all just as an interesting item. The second item is that I went on a tour last night of Amici House on DeKalb and Harrison. And it's a very nice facility. They've spent a lot of money renovating. It's actually move-in ready, and I believe they are planning on that. So it was really nice to see the conversion of a former church. And I just wonder if it would have been easier, perhaps, if they'd started from scratch rather than renovating. But it's a very nice looking building.
Yeah, I'm very thankful also that they renovated that vacant building and put it to use again. So, anything else? Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Okay. Ms. Archer, do you want to, what?
Yeah, good to the order.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to say too, because I got a tour for the Amici House, and very impressive in there. And they've worked so hard. And that's what I call, especially for young adults, the affordable living is in that building. And I also like to bring up parking for the 2-hour parking, since now on Saturday, it's going to be, being more enforced for the parking. I think it'd be great to have, and I said it before, but maybe we can look into it and talk about it, but for the 2-hour to go to the 4-hour, because when you park for 2 hours, you barely get to eat and go shopping around, and it would be really nice. I just feel like for the, put the 2-hour to 4-hour, and then lastly, I was thinking too, I really like how Erica came in and how we need to work on, even if it's a shuttle or whatever. I'm kind of excited to help the farmers market and all the businesses down there and to go forward in, and plus you got free parking right up the hill, and so maybe we can really look into that and figure that out.
Ms. Archer, do you want to state the statute for our executive session, which is probably going to last about 20 minutes?
20 minutes? Yeah. We're going to enter into executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110, subpart 1, subpart I, excuse me,
Erica,
and subpart
you hang around. 1
I.
minute. I'll come chat with you.
For 20 minutes with no action to follow.
Okay, I'll see you guys in there. And John, I'll call you on your phone.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Isn't that crazy? I don't know how they're, I don't know how.
The interpretation of it is for something that we don't, I really think they were finished. And I didn't say that for them, but they were running out of time. They didn't want to because they didn't time. I just want a better understanding of, how do we
As a small organization, it's just like they leave, footprint, this larger attendance, like, we don't have enough to fund things ourselves, so we're looking for options to partner with other organizations.
Yeah, his responses are good, but I don't think it was an interpretation. I think, I mean, they mentioned it to me briefly about their architect said, but that was it. And I think that's great. Also, it's like the bedroom is different than ours, so we're charging. And I don't know.
And then does it go
particular use?
You're right.
Yes, it's an hours, does it go one direction, one time a day, and then it's limited services on all days? But that one does work.
But you can at least, someone could walk down. I mean, they could.
So, we partner better to advertise that, because people are not utilizing the kids' entertainment.
It may be possible. You have some houses with 4 bedrooms, they may have a lot of people living in this one building, but then the same building next door has a widower, and they're charging the same ERU, and we know it's not the same income.
And they just can't do it, so we consider the charter.
And water consumption is
I was starting to look at the law, the regulation that you were talking about, I started.
questions? I wouldn't put it in those terms, but I'd say we want.
happy to do
Yes,
footwork
yeah.
and go to other bus services and things like that. I just don't really, I think the only thing we count is the airport over here. No, we got another one. Is there another one?
No, and I think we can not waive fees, but we can determine what is appropriate. It's just one way to-
As we continue to grow, there's not ever gonna be enough parking. Right. No. You know what, I forgot to say that it was the very first, yeah, and I forgot to say that. All right. Yeah, thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Okay. You guys can take a while to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, we just have one member of the public hanging on, online. So as soon as they drop off, we'll drop off.
I think you could turn the meeting off, can't you? Okay, sorry.
How do we change the view to where this is bigger? Oh, there we go.